Good morning and happy Tuesday 10 at 10. I am your host, Richard Charpentier. And you know the format. Every Tuesday we get together and we take 10 minutes to answer as many questions as we can and as many as we receive. And basically, it's a great way to ask an expert about your question and your problems. And thank you for following Bakerpedia, where you get a lot of great resources and information to use every day in your bakeries. Practical experience makes a big difference. So without further ado, let's get started. First question. I would like to check for biscuit. What food additive can I use to prevent it from becoming stale? So biscuit is something based on where you live. It's something that's going to be a little drier. It's a drier product, and versus to for staling. So as you extend shelf life, you're battling two things. You're battling the organoleptic and you're battling the micro issue. And if your product falls within a lower water activity, lower moisture, or the right pH, the micro is sort of control. If it's, you don't have enough moisture within your product. So, which in your case, that seems to me as a biscuit. So in order to increase the shelf life of a biscuit, needs to understand what are the issues as you're increasing your shelf life. Is the product becoming too crumbly, too hard, so difficult to chew? Is the product off flavor? Is the color changing? What are the issues that you're trying to correct? So any problems like that, you can add things, but only when I understand what the proper issues. Because adding to add, it's similarly when you go to the doctor, they will check your vitals to be like, okay, what's your temperature, what's your blood pressure, etc., what's your height, your weight, and then hey, you should take these because you can assess like that. Not knowing what the formula and what to add, it's very difficult because I don't want you to go wrong with something if it doesn't work out. But that's a great question. Thank you for sending it. Moving on to the next question. Tips for bread. What I'm rereading the question because the way it's written. Would the tips for shelf life extension of breads apply for biscotti? For those not aware of it, biscotti is sort of a very dense bread that is baked dry, and it's heavy, and then you slice it and re-dry it. So biscotti with the proper packaging can have a shelf life of about a year. Imagine it, a year shelf life. Again, as I said earlier, is due to controlling the moisture and the water activity will be lower. So now, do the tips of a bread for extended shelf life versus a biscotti be the same? No, because again, a bread is a higher moisture, higher water activity, different pH than a biscotti. So different techniques and different ingredients will apply to increase the shelf life. And if you think today in the current market in the US, bread shelf life of sliced packaged bread is roughly 12 to 14 days. A biscotti will be about 6 months to a year. So no, it does not apply the same, because for biscotti, usually they include nuts, fruits, or any flavors, and it's about the stability of the fat that you worry about, oxidative rancidity over time. And that's what I would worry about. As for bread, you have to battle the micro, you have to battle the staling, etc. As the biscotti, it's already dry, so you have one level. It's how well you package it. So, but great question. Now for our last question. How do how do you modify wheat starch to increase the fiber? Well, the first question I would say, you have to listen to the upcoming Baked in Science podcast, where Mark was a great baker, great certified master baker, talks with the company MGP on with the vice president of R&D on resistant starch, and that's basically what it is. I would, how do you do it? It's, that's why manufacturing companies do it. So it's a process involved to get the fiber out, unless you're going to go and get just straight fiber from wheat and just as an addition. But based on what you're trying to do and trying to increase the fiber, if you use white flour, I would say use whole wheat flour. That's one aspect of increasing your overall fiber. But in order to modify your wheat starch to increase the fiber, that's a process where you have to have the equipment, you have to be the company. So again, I recommend that you go listen to Baked in Science, where Mark will be hosting. The vice president of R&D from NGP would be a great resource for you to listen to and get all the information you need. So that was it. So thank you guys. So again, I appreciate your time every Tuesday where we answer the question, and thank you for sending all the great questions, and happy baking, and we'll see you next week. Take care, guys.